Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Swansea Public Services Board. Very warm welcome to you. I'm aware that there are quite a number of new faces on the call today, so it might be good to do a quick round of introductions. So I'll start off. I'm the chair of the Swansea Public Services Board, Councillor Andrew Lewis, and also deputy leader of Swansea Council. And I'll go as listed on the attendance on Teams. So Amanda, do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm Amanda Carr, Director at SCVS, so Swansea Council for Voluntary Service.
Thank you. Amy?
Afternoon, everyone. So I'm Amy Richmond-Jones and I'm the Engagement Plan and Performance Manager for the Fire Service.
Thank you. And Caroline is our Democratic Services Support Officer. So Gwynfor?
Yeah, good afternoon. Councillor Gwynfor Thomas, Powys Councillor, but Chair of the Midland and West Wales Fire Authority.
Thank you. David Morgans?
Yeah, good afternoon. Dave Morgans. I'm head of Southern Division for Mid and West Wales. I'm here for Roger Thomas today.
Thank you. Kate?
Afternoon all, Kate Fitzgerald, Acting Head of Swansea Neath Port Talbot Probation Delivery Unit.
And Andrew? Also known as Andy, I think.
Yes, Andrew Hood, Acting People and Places Team Leader for Natural Resources Wales, here with you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Jane?
Jane Richmond, I'm the Climate Change Project Manager for Swansea Council.
Thanks, Jane. Jennifer?
Hello, Acting Director of Public Health for Swansea Bay Health Board.
Jeremy?
Jeremy Parkhouse, Democratic Services.
Daniel?
Good afternoon, Dan Jones, Head of Community Safety for the Police and Crime Commissioner. Can I just say that Emma Wells, the new Police and Crime Commissioner, was elected in May, is committed to attending the Public Services Board going forward, but unfortunately has a prior commitment, but will be making room in the diary to attend in future.
Thank you, Dan. We look forward to seeing Emma at a future meeting. Karen?
Afternoon, Karen Stapleton, Deputy Director of Strategy, Swansea Bay.
Mark?
I'm Mark Kavanagh, Superintendent with South Wales Police and the co-chair of Safer Swansea.
Keith?
Keith Lloyd, I'm here as an independent member of Swansea Bay University Health Board.
Thank you, Keith. Leanne?
Hi everybody, I'm Leanne Hearn, I'm the PSP Support Officer.
Lee?
Hi, I'm Lee Wenham, I'm Swansea Council's Head of Communications and Corporate Planning and Performance.
And Howell?
Pnawn da pawb, good afternoon all. Hywel Manley, Pennaeth Gweithgareddau Cyfoeth yn Cefn Cymru, Hywel Manley, Head of Operations, Natural Resources Wales. I can do the translations as well, so it makes it easy.
Brilliant. Thank you, Howell. Nerys?
Hi, Nerys Evans, Art, Culture and Creative Economy Strategic Manager at Swansea Council.
Thank you. And last but not least, Hannah.
Hello everyone, I'm Hannah Wharf, Deputy Director Support for Learners in Welsh Government. Thank you.
Thank you. Warm welcome to everybody, particularly to our new members on the call today. And we'll go to the agenda as is proper. So first item on the agenda is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies from Councillor Rob Stewart, Ness Young, Tracy McNulty, Roger Thomas, Nerissa Vaughan, Emma Wools and Mark Wade.
Thank you, Jeremy. On to item 2, anyone with any disclosures of personal or prejudicial interest? Nobody indicating. And apologies, I think I've missed one person off. Dave Morgans?
Yes, apologies. I've already given an introduction.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Dave. On to the minutes then of the previous Public Services Board meeting. Are we all happy that they're a true and accurate record? Nobody's indicated otherwise. Okay. Thank you. And so we'll move on then to item 4, public question time. Do we have any questions from the public, Jeremy?
No questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. So on then to items for discussion, decision or approval. So item 5 is an update on the 8 steps in our Public Service Board Action Plan 2024-25. And I'll hand over to Karen Stapleton for the first step update, which is transforming early years services across Swansea. Karen, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. So just to remind colleagues, this is about the step we're focused on at the moment of agreeing a set of regional principles for early years that's signed off by all agencies. And I mentioned regularly that obviously we're trying to do this across the Swansea Bay Health Board footprint, which is including Newport Talbot PSB as well. And then we're hoping to finalise an early years pathway across the region so that we can use that to direct our strategic planning and inform services moving in the same direction. So the reason this step is looking a bit more amber this time is because we held a really good workshop. We hosted a workshop in August with some of the key strategic leads in this space. And that was not just Public Service Board members, we had local authority members and third sector. In fact, Amanda was there as a director of the CVSs. We considered the draft principles that have been drafted and how we can look to commit ourselves to collaborate regionally to improve early years. We sort of had a bit of a feedback about, what are some of the policy drivers around early years, and it's really high up, as we all know, on the government focus at the moment. The new Minister for Children and Young People, Dawn Bowden, right up there early years. So no doubt we need to do work together on this. We did have quite a bit of discussion around the fact that what's the common definition of early years, and this is where we had quite a bit of debate, because for some people, depending on where you're sitting, it's 0 to 3, it could be 0 to 5. But if you go into education, early years sits in education in Newport Talbot, it's 0 to 7. So we had quite a bit of discussion around that, and we need to be really clear what age range we're talking about when we're talking in this space. We looked at some of the data for what it's like to be early years in our Swansea Board footprint, and we were really clear that a lot of good work is going on in this area, but we need to understand what we can actually do differently by coming together under the PSB umbrella. So really good to get the strategic leads in one space. So next steps is that we're having a follow-up workshop now before Christmas, where we want to all start sharing our priorities and plans for early years. We want to really hone down that definition of early years and then start to map out what an integrated pathway for our services, recognising that Swansea might be slightly different to Newport Talbot, because obviously each local authority area and footprint is slightly different. So that's the next steps, and that's why this is looking amber. I think it says we want to carry on that engagement with the strategic leads before we can start to. So we've updated the milestones slightly to say we're looking at now by the end of March to get that pathway agreed. So good progress, good discussion, but yeah, it's taken us going to be a bit longer than we thought. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate the update. Any questions for Karen? No, thank you again. All very positive. So we'll move on to the next step, which is building on Swansea as a human rights city. And I'll hand over to Lee Wenham to take us through this one.
Thanks, Chair. So just a few updates by way of some of the agency work. So Fire Service has been working in partnership with others and signposting and providing advice on issues around kind of poverty. Also, SCVS has made some good progress with offers of training, etc., within the sector. And Adele in the council has got out our first newsletter, and our work is starting on a survey which will be sent out hopefully in the coming weeks. So some nice progress in terms of the actions, and we just all need to keep that momentum going, making sure there's kind of embedded in everything we're doing. The council action plan is rolling out well, and I think other agencies around the table are making kind of similar progress, perhaps at different pace, but I think everyone's starting to embed it into what they do.
Thank you, Lee. It's good to see the partnership working on this one. Anyone with any questions for Lee? No, thank you for the update. So we'll move on to working towards Swansea's net zero target and nature recovery. And I think this is a bit of a double act. I could see Howell has put in the chat that Jane is going to take the lead on this one. So Jane, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I just get my notes up. Right. Okay. So we're on schedule to deliver the first phase by December. We are looking for a little bit more funding to be able to complete the full strategy and action plan by March. So I'm busy looking at that at the moment. But the online workshops that took place in July, we had 80 officers, managers and PSB members that took part in online discussions. We also launched the Resilient Swansea brand, which is what the project is sitting as. Did that online, had some good feedback from members of the general public and businesses, etc. with that. In September, we did the face-to-face workshops, and we visited 12 communities across Swansea. So we did Trashloyne, Mayhill, Tico College hosted one, Llanryddian Primary School hosted one where Martin Nichols, our CEO, attended. We had Pontarddulais, Dylan Thomas, Clydach, Morriston, Upper Killay, Pennard, Mumbles and Gowerton. We had some very small numbers in one or two, such as Trashloyne and Pontarddulais particularly, but others were very, very well attended, and we had some fantastic feedback from people about their communities and how they feel climate change is going to impact them in their communities. And also looking forward to positive interventions and that sort of thing. So we very much focused on trying to make a positive story for Swansea and what people can be doing and what support they need. So that was really good. The online form was also available for people that couldn't attend the workshops, and they were also available in libraries. And we've had quite a number, still waiting to find out what the final number of people that submitted those were. So we've also done a stakeholder mapping exercise to enable all of this to happen. We've mapped everything against the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act and Swansea's Wellbeing Plan, but we've also used the Climate Change Adaptation Monitoring Framework and CCRA3. So we've got a lot of support frameworks behind us to carry on. The consultants are now pulling everything together, and the technical report will be with us in late November, early December. And like I say, we're looking for a little bit of extra funding to help us get to the final stage. So I'm busy looking at that at the moment. And we would like to have the opportunity to go out again to the public with the draft community action plan if the funding will allow. But everything else at the moment is on track. So we do hope still to be able to deliver the full strategy by the end of March.
I just come briefly. Thank you, Jane, for that. But I just want to say a big thanks to Jane and the team. You know, it's been quite a challenge running all the external events and quite a time commitment running out of normal working hours. So many thanks, Jane. I know you've had some support of Helen as well, but certainly from my perspective, it's been a job well done and well received by the community. So diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you. Sorry, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Howell, and I'd like to add my thanks as well, Jane. I know attending one of the workshops in the Swansea.com stadium was very engaging, really interesting, and it's great to hear that the community events are doing very well. My thanks for all the hard work that's gone into this. It has, as Howell said, it's been very intense, so much appreciated. Any questions for Jane or Howell on this one? Did you want to come back, Jane?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've also managed to, I'm going to be doing some running workshops at the Green Economy Conference for businesses. And we're also going to be attending World Children's Day in the National Waterfront Museum as well, to get some young people's voices as well. Sorry, I just forgot to say that. Sorry, Chair.
No problem, and looking forward to attending the Green Conference myself as well. I shall see you there. Okay, no questions for Jane on this item, but again, noting the excellent work. So we'll move on then to making Swansea safer, more cohesive and prosperous. And David Morgans from the Mid and West Wales Fire and Rescue Service is going to take us through this item on behalf of our Deputy Chair, Roger Thomas. Over to you, David.
Okay, thank you. I've got an update on the 4 actions. So the first action I think was updated on in the last meeting, which was the firefighter firefighter challenge, which took place in June. So that action's been completed, and the lessons identified have been captured for future events. So action 2, to host a targeting prevention workshop. There's an event taking place on the 20th of November at Swansea.com Stadium. It's circulated via Eventbrite, so it can be booked via Eventbrite. There's also a plea, really, if anyone else would like to sort of book onto that event, there's 50 spaces available at the moment. They're going to look at finalising the keynote speakers as well. And if partners do want to attend, and if they want to book a table, if they can contact Amy, who's also on the call, Amy Richmond. So action 3 then, to develop a campaign regarding diversifying funds or funding sources. The progress for that one is easy. Fundraising active with Swansea groups, raising additional funds, and Lotto Abertawe is launched in 2024. Super Draw was held on August with 30 prizes donated by local businesses. In September 2024, and 30,000 has been raised so far with local good causes since the launch. And to date, there's 70 good causes have been registered. Action 4, supporting opportunities to co-locate community safety partnership resources. The Community Safety Partnership met yesterday to work through the terms of reference, reviewing membership and participation, to look to progress the conversation regarding co-location. I'm not sure, without putting Mark from South Wales Police on the spot, whether he wants to update anything regarding that as well, the meeting that was held yesterday. But timescales are quite flexible and can be agreed once the initial scoping work has been completed for this.
Great, thank you for the update. Mark, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, just that we had a really constructive day yesterday. So the aim is to reshape Safe for Swansea, give it a bit more structure, bring in a little bit more accountability, so every partner gets an opportunity to highlight the good work they're doing. So yeah, really good buy-in from everyone involved yesterday. So we're going to go away, sort of debrief what we discussed. I think it was a 4-hour session in the end. Lots of really good ideas. I'm not suggesting Safe for Swansea is broken, far from it, but it certainly needs some reinvigoration and some really good ideas, as I say. So I can probably brief you a little bit further at the next PSB.
That's great. Thank you, Mark. Again, to note the great progress on this step. Any questions? No, thank you for the update. So we'll move on then to developing Swansea's integrated cultural offer. Unfortunately, we don't have Tracy McNulty with us today, but we do have Nerys Evans. So Nerys, over to you, please.
Hi, thank you, Chair, very much. So there are 2 things to note within this step. The first is to do with the cultural strategy, and the cultural strategy is essentially now gone out to consultation, and we have appointed a consultant, and we're in the middle of actually contracting that work at the moment. We aren't able to exactly say who it is yet because we're still kind of getting that contract over the line, but I'll be able to update you in our next meeting. The work will, the aim is to start that work next week, and building on cultural strategy work that's already happened over the last sort of few years, really. So it's reviewing work already done to be able to bring together a new cultural strategy, with the aim of completing that strategic work by mid-March. So that's where we are with the cultural strategy. And then secondly is the Creative Swansea Network. Creative Swansea Network is there to build a community of professionals, including freelancers, the workforce, and businesses working within the creative industries. So these are individuals and businesses that pay the mortgages from working working within the sector. But in having that sort of strong ecosystem will, of course, it would provide economic prosperity, but also social well-being. That network was launched on September the 24th, so it is now firmly in place, and the network has been established. We are quickly moving on to our next event, which will be October 24th, focusing on esports. And we continue to have an event each month bar December up until the end of the next financial year. We also have an event we'll be doing in collaboration with Neath Talbot towards the end of this financial year. So Creator Swansea is moving at pace, and that is it for this step. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Nerys. Appreciate the update. Clearly a lot of work going on in this area at the moment. And again, I could only sit on 2 workshops at swansea.com at the event, but this was one of the workshops that I sat in on, and it was really interesting, actually. So some fantastic work going on. Thank you. No questions for Nerys on this item? No? Okay. And so for the last 3 steps, we hand over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Chair. First one is around the governance arrangements, and I'm sure members will be aware that Leanne Hearn has been working on this. And I just want to kind of thank her and congratulate her for the work she's done. This hasn't been easy. She's been going around the partnerships, delving into the structures, the meetings, the roles, etc. And she's got to the point now where she feels she can present those kind of findings back to us. So well done, Leanne, and thank you for your hard work. Hopefully later this month we can send some information around and start engaging the strategic leads and board chairs on what they might perceive to be gaps, but also then looking at how we can take this forward. So that's the update on that one. So either myself or Leanne can take any questions.
Leanne, did you want to add anything?
Would help if I put my mic on. Apologies. Yeah, we are meeting with the strategic lead, Ness Young, on this on Monday to move things on a little bit as well and have a bit more direction. But as Lee said, we are hoping to present the information and circulate that to everybody in the coming weeks. So look out for that.
Thanks, Leanne. And
Thank you.
It'd be a good opportunity for me to put on record my thanks to you for the organisation of the event at the Swansea.com Stadium, which was absolutely fantastic. And we look forward to more of those in the coming months. I'd definitely do that again. It was really good. I'm sure members of the Public Service Board will agree. Any questions for Leanne or Lee on this item? No? Over to you for step 7 then, Lee.
Yeah, this one is around the kind of data quality and accessibility. So Steve King has been leading the work on this for us. So he's been working with Data Cymru, but also with Neath Talbot and also Cumtav. And I think we've reached the point now where Data Cymru are able to build us something. And we should have something that maybe towards the end of November, going into December, we'll actually have a product that we can start using. So I think that's great. You know, it's a real good outcome, and we're reaching the business end of that now. And because we've worked with Neath Talbot and Cumtav, we've brought the actual cost to us down as well. So it'll probably be under 10,000. If you remember, Chair, when we presented proposals for using the grant, this was priority number 1. We weren't sure of the exact cost at that time. And we said wherever was left over, we could start spending in other priority areas. So I think we'll have a bit more left than we originally thought. So that's good news then for the other priorities in terms of what we've got to spend on them.
Thank you, Lee. That is good news. And I know if Ness was here, which she would say that improving data quality can be a very dry topic to discuss, but ultimately it's so important that we have good quality data, particularly to measure the impacts of the Public Services Board and the work that we're doing. So all the work in this area is greatly appreciated. Any questions from members on step 7? No. And so we move on to the final update, which is developing Swansea's Public Services Board performance management arrangements. Back to you, Lee.
yeah, another kind of dryish area, but something that's really needed. And again, Steve King has been working on this for us. So again, he's reached a good point now where we'll probably be circulating proposals to members because we think we've got a way forward. And having spoken to Steve about it, we're probably looking at maybe having maybe 20 to 25 measures, which perhaps we can agree on as a partnership, and then maybe measure about 5 or 6, or report on 5 or 6 each quarter. Again, having spoken to Steve, we don't have to wait till the new financial year, so we can actually start doing it for the remainder of this year. So hopefully, definitely for the final quarter. So I think the next steps will be Steve maybe circulating some information, trying to get agreement on the measures, and then we can start building in some reporting. So again, good progress.
That's good to note. Thanks, Lee, and my thanks to Steve as well for his work on this. We do, if members do attend the annual scrutiny meetings where they ask what impact, what difference has Swansea Public Services Board made, well, it's important in terms of that performance management that we're able to report that back to them. So, you know, again, possibly a bit of a dry topic, but very, very important measure in our success. Okay, so any further questions on this item? No, I think we're in for a short meeting. So we come to, just for information, item 6, Swansea Public Services Board Annual Report 2023-24, and the supporting video, the links are on the agenda. And item 7, Shaping Places for Wellbeing in Wales Public Services Board Learning Agreement. Anyone wish to make any comments on these? They're for information only, but does anybody wish to add anything? No? Okay, great. Sorry, Jennifer.
Hi, yes, it was on item 7, so I suppose that is actually a decision that needs to be taken as to, there's a couple of different asks in there in the letter, so hopefully people have had an opportunity to look at that. It sort of, it asks to consider whether we're happy with the representation on the programme, and whether there are others that would want to join. There's still that opportunity to join that. There's also thinking about how feedback from the programme might come back in, and then thinking about whether for the chair or the vice chair to participate in a discussion with the programme leads in Public Health Wales around the nature of the programme, and finally also it gives an opportunity then through the event on the 25th of November to also have that meeting with the Future Generations Commissioner for Wales. So there's a few things in there in order to respond to those from our PSB. So Neith Talbot have also had the same letter, and all the other PSB chairs have had the exact same. Well, they've had a version of this as a letter. And it's just sort of giving an opportunity for the PSB to give their thoughts back on the programme, and to really think about whether this programme is going to, how this programme may or may not be helpful, and the level of engagement and how we want to engage with it. Alongside this, there's some work that we've done locally with some of the people from within the Health Board who are part of the learning cohort, recognising that, for example, in Neath Talbot, we probably had more people interested than we had spaces, and not everyone's able to make every part of the programme. So we've made a commitment to offer some additional support so that we can make sure that those who aren't able to get to everything still get that peer-to-peer sort of community practice type support, so that what this programme is offering, which is the development of those system thinking, system tools, can be adopted across whatever topic area or issue. We've also started to use it in Neath Talbot to develop longer term vision plans against something that we're working on, in particular around poverty. So it's really just sort of the response going back around the learning agreement. So I just wanted to make sure that if there were any questions about it before yourself, I presume, therefore, Chair, in terms of the chair of that, whether there was anything more that I could helpfully add into that.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I got a number of hands. So Karen.
Thanks, Chair. I think Jane and I both put our hands up at the same time, didn't we, Jane? So Jane and I are on the programme from Swansea PSB, and I think it's probably opportune now. There's been a couple of sessions and the programme's starting to focus on some areas that are relevant to each PSB. It's probably timely that we met with you and or Ness, or whoever you think is appropriate, maybe with Jennifer as well, to see how it links. And there's definite links back into some of the work in this programme, and Jane can, particularly the climate and nature change one, in fact, all the areas. But I think it's just, taking that learning, the systems approach. But I suppose Jane and I can't do that by ourselves. It probably needs more people. But probably a conversation to have with you, if that's okay, Chair, outside the meeting, really.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I'll come back to that and respond. I'll bring Jane in first. Jane?
Actually, I was just, I think we both put our hands up at the same time, and I was basically going to say the same as Karen, really. I found it really, really useful. I think as far as the climate change and nature recovery aspect of the work, it is proving very useful. And I can imagine that it would be across the board, but also between sections as well, just to see where everything all links up, I think is really, really important. That's all I had really to offer, but it was basically what Karen said as well. So I would urge other members to join from Swansea, if possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Jane. I think Karen's suggestion to pull together a meeting with myself and Ness and anyone who wants to be involved in that is sensible. I think Leanne can record that as an action from this meeting today. Howell?
Yeah, I think that is a good suggestion. I think what we need to look at the efficiency we have from working around one topic, Jennifer. So it's about what are the different links we can kind of bring together around this work, because health is so critical. It's such a large part of public sector spend, and how can we kind of try to address some of the prevailing issues around the wider health agenda that we've kind of got, because the costs on servicing our health needs are forever increasing across the public sector. And it's a question time. So more supportive, and I totally agree, Chair, that to maybe have a bit more of a strategic discussion around this might be useful as one of our subgroup discussions to see how can we better work together. So that's my way of thinking going forward, if that's okay, Chair. And
yeah, thank you, Howell. Yeah, thank you. And it's spend may be increasing, but demand is increasing as well, isn't it? So that's another driving factor. Yes, I think a meeting would be very positive. Jennifer, if you want to take that as an action from this meeting today, I'm sure Leanne can help pull us all together. I think perhaps a face-to-face meeting would be really helpful. Anything else further on this, Jennifer, that you want to come in on?
No, that's fine. I think what they'll that will then be, I'll feedback therefore that after that meeting you'll be in a position to decide whether to sign up with that agreement. Is that how you'd want to proceed?
That would be great. It'd be good to discuss this in more detail on how this would best work with partners to best support it, and then we can do an official response then, which we can bring to an agenda for governance and visibility to a future PSB.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing will be the timeliness of it. So it may mean that actually, if all of those things don't line up, then it will be potentially a nil return from Swansea. But that because I think what they're saying here is that there are some time limited elements, from what I can understand. I think there's the Future Gens office, Welsh Government, on the 25th of November that they've organised. But we can have a conversation outside of the meeting about it.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. And we'll note that this needs to happen sooner rather than later, given the timescales. So thank you for that. Thank you all for your contributions. It's been a relatively short meeting, but there's clearly an awful lot of work going on in the background as well. Dan, did you want to come in?
Yeah, Apologies, Jack. Could I just come in and just quickly touch on the police and crime plan consultation, if that's okay?
You can indeed.
Yeah, just very quickly, I mentioned earlier we have a new police and crime commissioner, and one of the first things that any commissioner has to do is consult on a police and crime plan. Lots of work going on in this space at the moment, and there's 3 phases to that consultation: an online public survey, which is live now, ending Monday, and a launch of a small grant programme called Tell Emma, which is consulting with activities from local grassroots and community organisations, giving them £500 to do some of that consultation work in hard to reach groups. So thank you for all the partners within the public service, this board and wider network across Swansea that have supported with that, particularly through the community safety partnership.
Great, thank you, Dan. Okay, well, that brings us to... Sorry?
Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. Well, I'm just talking about the stakeholder engagement, sorry, Chair, which is phase 3. And I was wondering if we could consult on that through the Public Service Board. There are a number of questions in relation to those 5 priorities. So if I could share that and something can go out, that would be much appreciated.
Yes, not a problem. Thank you, Dan. Okay, that brings us to the end of the meeting. The next meeting is due on the 13th of February 2025 at 3 p.m. 2024 is disappearing before our eyes rapidly. But as I was going to say, thank you all for your contributions and all the excellent work which is going on behind the scenes. The updates are very much appreciated today. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thank you, Chair.